life will test you. It will throw challenges your way, ones that seem insurmountable, moments that feel as though they are designed to break you. But here's the true strength isn't about never feeling fear, doubt, or pain. It's about choosing to stand even when you're trembling. Strength is a choice, a messy, imperfect choice to keep showing up. It's not found in pretending you're okay when you're not. It's not about bottling up your emotions or isolating yourself. Strength is rooted in courage. And courage, my friends, doesn't mean you're fearless. It means you're willing to take the next step, even when fear is riding shotgun. Strength doesn't begin with pretending everything is fine or putting on a brave face when you're crumbling inside. True strength begins with vulnerability, the courage to admit, first to yourself and then to others, that you're struggling. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's the purest form of strength. Think about it. How often do we bottle up our emotions, hide our pain, and plaster on a smile because we're afraid of being judged? We tell ourselves if they see my fear, my heartbreak, or my failures, they'll think less of me. But what if the opposite is true? What if our ability to be open about our struggles is the very thing that connects us, heals us, and makes us stronger? Embracing vulnerability is like standing in front of a storm and saying, yes, this is hard. Yes, I am scared, but I am still here. It's the willingness to name what you're feeling, to say out loud, I'm overwhelmed, I need help, or even I don't know what to do. Vulnerability gives you permission to be real, and in that authenticity, you find the first seeds of strength. When you allow yourself to feel your emotions fully without judgment, you begin to process them. Suppressed emotions don't disappear, they fester. They turn into resentment, anxiety, and exhaustion. But when you acknowledge your pain, you begin to release its hold on you. Vulnerability becomes the doorway through which healing and resilience can enter. Let's be clear, vulnerability doesn't mean sharing your innermost struggles with everyone. It means being honest with yourself first, and then choosing safe, trusted spaces where you can share your truth. Whether it's with a close friend, a family member, or a therapist, expressing your feelings in a supportive environment can lighten the burden you carry. It's also important to remember that vulnerability takes practice. For many of us, it feels unnatural at first. We've been conditioned to equate it with shame or failure, but vulnerability is the bridge to connection. When you're open about your challenges, you give others permission to do the same. You create space for empathy, understanding, and mutual support. In embracing vulnerability, you declare to the world and to yourself that you are not defined by your struggles. Instead, you are defined by your courage to face them. And in that courage lies the foundation of unwavering strength. Strength and resilience are built on a bedrock of self-trust, the belief that no matter what happens, you can handle it. It's not about having all the answers or always making the right choices. Instead, it's about trusting yourself to navigate life's ups and downs with courage, adaptability, and grace. But let's be honest, self-trust isn't something that magically appears. It's cultivated through intentional effort, consistency, and self-compassion. Often we lose trust in ourselves when we let fear or external opinions dictate our choices, when we break promises to ourselves, or when we dismiss our inner voice. The good news, self-trust is never out of reach. It's something you can rebuild step by step. Start small, build big. Self-trust is like a muscle that grows stronger with use. Start with small commitments to yourself and follow through on them. It could be as simple as deciding to wake up 5 minutes earlier to journal, taking a short walk to clear your mind, or drinking enough water throughout the day. These small acts of showing up for yourself create a ripple effect. They remind you that you are reliable and capable. When you honor even the smallest promises to yourself, you begin to shift your mindset. You stop seeking validation from the outside and start finding it within. Over time, these small victories compound, building a reservoir of confidence that you can draw from during life's challenges. Learn from the past, don't dwell. One of the biggest obstacles to self-trust is the weight of past mistakes. We all have moments where we've let ourselves down or made decisions we regret. Instead of using those moments as evidence that you can't be trusted, reframe them as lessons. Ask yourself, what did I learn from that experience? How can I approach a similar situation differently in the future? When you turn your mistakes into stepping stones rather than roadblocks, you give yourself permission to grow. Trust isn't about never failing, it's about trusting your ability to rise after a fall. Listen to your inner voice. We live in a world filled with noise opinions from family, friends, colleagues, and even strangers on social media. While feedback can be valuable, self-trust comes from learning to prioritize your own voice. This doesn't mean you ignore others' perspectives, but it does mean you take the time to check in with yourself. Pause and ask what feels right for me, what aligns with my values and goals. Your intuition is a powerful guide. The more you listen to it, the stronger it becomes. And as you act in alignment with your true self, your trust in your own judgment deepens. Practice forgiveness. Building self-trust also requires self-forgiveness. You're human and you're going to make mistakes. Sometimes you'll break a promise to yourself or fall short of your goals. Instead of beating yourself up, practice self-compassion. Recognize that one misstep doesn't define you or undo all the progress you've made. Forgiveness doesn't mean ignoring your actions. It means acknowledging them, learning from them, and choosing to move forward with kindness. When you forgive yourself, you reinforce the idea that you are worthy of trust, even when you stumble. Celebrate your wins. Another crucial part of self-trust is acknowledging your successes. Too often, we downplay our achievements or rush to the next task without taking a moment to reflect. But every time you overcome a challenge, make a difficult decision, or show resilience, you're strengthening your foundation of self-trust. Take time to celebrate those moments. Write them down. Reflect on how far you've come. These reminders serve as proof that you are capable, resourceful, and strong. The ripple effect of self-trust. When you trust yourself, it doesn't just affect how you see yourself, it transforms how you show up in the world. You make decisions with confidence, set boundaries with clarity, and approach challenges with a sense of inner calm. Self-trust becomes your anchor, keeping you steady no matter how rough the waters get. Remember, creating a foundation of self-trust is a journey, not a destination. It's about showing up for yourself time and time again with patience and perseverance. And as you build that trust, you'll find that your strength isn't just something you draw upon in hard times, it becomes a part of who you are. Your energy is your most precious resource. It fuels everything you do, your relationships, your work, your passions, and your growth. Yet we often allow it to be drained by things that don't serve us, toxic people, unnecessary commitments, or trying to meet expectations that don't align with who we are. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's necessary. It's how you stay strong, resilient, and true to yourself. Setting boundaries is a powerful way to protect your energy. But let's be real, it's not always easy. Boundaries can feel uncomfortable to enforce, especially if you're used to putting others' needs before your own. However, the discomfort is worth it because boundaries are acts of self-respect and self-care. Understand what drains you. The first step in setting boundaries is identifying what's depleting your energy. Ask yourself, who or what consistently leaves me feeling exhausted or overwhelmed? Where am I saying yes when I really want to say no? What habits or patterns in my life are keeping me from feeling my best? Sometimes it's people who demand too much without giving anything in return. Other times it's situations or even our own behaviors like overcommitting, procrastinating, or endlessly scrolling on social media. Identifying these energy drains gives you clarity on where boundaries are needed. Know your limits. Boundaries are deeply personal because everyone's limits are different. What feels overwhelming to one person might feel manageable to another. This is why it's crucial to get clear on your own needs and priorities. For instance, if you value quiet time to recharge, you might need to set limits around social activities. If you're working on a personal goal, you might need to say no to distractions that pull you off track. Knowing your limits allows you to set boundaries that align with your values and protect your well-being. Communicate clearly. Setting boundaries often involves having honest conversations with others, and this can feel intimidating. But clear communication is key. Remember, boundaries are not about controlling others, they're about expressing your needs. For example, instead of saying, "You're always interrupting me," try, "I need uninterrupted time to focus. Can we schedule a better time to talk?" Instead of avoiding someone who drains you, try, "I can't meet up today, but let's reconnect when I have more energy to give." The goal is to be direct but kind. State your boundary in a way that respects both yourself and the other person. Stand firm. Here's the hard truth: not everyone will respect your boundaries right away. Some people might push back, test your limits, or try to guilt you into compromising. This is especially true if you're setting boundaries in relationships where there's been a pattern of overgiving or people-pleasing. Stay firm. Remind yourself why this boundary matters to you. It's okay to repeat your boundary calmly and consistently. Over time, others will learn to respect your limits, or they'll reveal themselves as people who aren't willing to honor your needs. Create internal boundaries. Boundaries aren't just about managing external relationships, they're also about managing your relationship with yourself. Internal boundaries are the commitments you make to honor your own well-being. For example, limiting the time you spend on social media if it leaves you feeling drained. Creating a non-negotiable morning routine that sets the tone for your day. Saying no to overthinking or self-criticism when things don't go as planned. These internal boundaries help you conserve energy and focus on what truly matters. Let go of guilt. One of the biggest obstacles to setting boundaries is guilt. We worry about disappointing others, being seen as selfish, or rocking the boat. But here's the thing: protecting your energy isn't something you need to apologize for. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, you're saying no to something that could replenish you. You're saying no to your own needs, your own growth, and your own peace. Letting go of guilt means recognizing that you have the right to prioritize yourself. When you set boundaries that protect your energy, you create space for the things that truly matter. You're more present in your relationships, more focused on your goals, and more at peace within yourself. You begin to show up in the world as the best version of you, not the tired, overextended, or resentful version. Boundaries are not walls, they're bridges to a healthier, happier you. They allow you to engage with the world in a way that feels sustainable and fulfilling. And as you practice setting and maintaining boundaries, you'll find that protecting your energy isn't just a skill, it's a form of strength that empowers every area of your life. When life feels overwhelming, our natural instinct is often to retreat. We pull away from others, thinking we can face the storm on our own. Sometimes this isolation feels like self-preservation, a way to shield ourselves from judgment, pity, or even the vulnerability of admitting we're not okay. But while solitude has its place for reflection and healing, prolonged isolation can drain us of the very strength we're trying to preserve. Connection, not isolation, is where we find resilience. Human beings are wired for connection. It's in our nature to seek support, understanding, and belonging. Yet in moments of hardship, we often convince ourselves that isolation is the answer. We tell ourselves, "I don't want to burden anyone," or "no one will understand." But here's the truth: connection doesn't make us weak, it makes us stronger. The cost of isolation. When you isolate yourself, you cut off one of the most powerful resources available to you, the strength of community. Without connection, negative emotions like fear, shame, and self-doubt can spiral. You lose perspective, and challenges that could be manageable with support begin to feel insurmountable. Isolation also deprives you of one of the most healing forces in life, empathy. Sharing your struggles with someone who listens without judgment can lighten your emotional load. Empathy reminds you that you're not alone in your pain and that others have walked similar paths and emerged stronger. Why connection matters. Connection is not just about sharing joy, it's also about sharing burdens. When you open yourself to others, you create space for understanding, compassion, and encouragement. You allow people to remind you of your strengths even when you can't see them yourself. Connection doesn't always have to be deep conversations or heart-to-heart-to-heart moments. It can be as simple as a warm hug, a shared laugh, or even a text message that says, "I'm thinking of you." These small acts of connection anchor you in the reality that you're not facing life alone. Find your support system. Not all connections are created equal. When you're vulnerable, it's crucial to choose your support system wisely. Seek out people who are empathetic, trustworthy, and non-judgmental. This could be a close friend, a family member, a mentor, or even a therapist. It's also important to recognize that your support system doesn't have to be large. Sometimes one genuine connection is more powerful than 100 surface-level interactions. What matters most is the quality of the connection, not the quantity. Be willing to reach out. One of the hardest parts of seeking connection is taking the first step. It can feel awkward or even scary to admit that you need support. But vulnerability is a two-way street. When you reach out to someone, you're not just seeking connection, you're offering it as well. Think about the time someone has confided in you. Did you judge them, or did you feel honored that they trusted you enough to share their struggles? Chances are you felt closer to them. By reaching out, you're giving others the opportunity to support you and deepen your relationship. If verbalizing your feelings feels too difficult, start small. Send a message, schedule a coffee date. Simply let someone know that you're going through a tough time and would appreciate their company. Often, the act of reaching out is enough to remind you that you're not alone. Embrace different forms of connection. Connection doesn't always have to come from people you know. Sometimes joining a group, attending a workshop, or volunteering in your community can create a sense of belonging. Shared experiences have a way of building connections that don't require you to bare your soul right away. Pets can also be an incredible source of connection. The unconditional love of a dog, cat, or even a bird can be deeply comforting. They remind us that connection doesn't always require words sometimes. It's simply about presence. Balance connection with solitude. Seeking connection doesn't mean you have to abandon solitude altogether. In fact, time alone can be just as important for your mental and emotional health. The key is balance. Use solitude to reflect, recharge, and process your emotions. Then use connection to share, grow, and find perspective. Think of it like breathing. Solitude is the inhale, a moment to pause and center yourself. Connection is the exhale, a release that allows you to share your burdens and take in the support of others. Both are necessary for resilience. Connection is strength. Seeking connection doesn't mean you're dependent on others. It means you're wise enough to recognize that strength is amplified when it's shared. The people who support you aren't there to fix your problems, they're there to remind you of your own capacity to face them. In moments of doubt, remember this connection doesn't diminish your strength, it multiplies it. By opening yourself to others, you tap into a collective energy that's far greater than anything you could muster alone. And in that space of shared humanity, you'll find the courage, hope, and resilience to keep moving forward. Resilience isn't something we tap into only during life's big challenges. It's a daily practice, a muscle that we build with consistent effort and intentionality. The truth is, life throws small hurdles at us every single day: missed deadlines, unexpected disappointments, difficult conversations. These moments may seem minor, but they are opportunities to strengthen our resilience. Resilience starts with mindset. It's about reframing the way you view challenges. Instead of seeing obstacles as proof that life is unfair or too hard, view them as stepping stones for growth. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this experience to become stronger or more adaptable? This mental shift doesn't make difficulties disappear, but it does empower you to face them with greater clarity and determination. Another critical aspect of resilience is learning to regulate your emotions. Challenges often trigger fear, frustration, or self-doubt, and those emotions can cloud your judgment. Practicing mindfulness, whether through meditation, journaling, or simply pausing to take a deep breath, can help you stay grounded. It creates space between what happens to you and how you choose to respond. Daily resilience also requires nurturing your physical and emotional well-being. Sleep, nutrition, and movement are foundational to your ability to handle stress. When you're depleted physically, your emotional reserves are often the first to suffer. Taking care of your body is an act of resilience. It's a way of ensuring you're equipped to face whatever comes your way. Part of practicing resilience is building habits that reinforce your inner strength. Surround yourself with positive influences, whether that's uplifting people, books, or experiences. Spend time reflecting on your values and purpose, as these act as anchors when life feels turbulent. Having a clear sense of what matters most allows you to navigate challenges without losing sight of your direction. Resilience also involves practicing gratitude and recognizing your progress. Even on the hardest days, there's something to be thankful for, something that grounds you in the present moment and reminds you of your capacity to endure. Acknowledging small victories, no matter how insignificant they seem, reinforces the belief that you are capable of overcoming adversity. Hope is the lifeline that carries us through life's darkest moments. It's not a fleeting feeling or blind optimism. It's a deep belief that better days are ahead, even when the present feels unbearable. Holding on to hope doesn't mean ignoring the struggles or pretending everything is fine. It means choosing to believe in possibilities, even when they feel distant or obscured by challenges. Hope begins in the heart, but requires nurturing to thrive. It's the quiet whisper that says, this isn't the end of the story. But to keep that whisper alive, you must feed it with intention. Surround yourself with reminders of what gives you purpose. Whether it's a goal you're working toward, the love of someone who believes in you, or a memory of a time you overcame adversity, these anchors can keep hope from slipping away. Hope also grows when you focus on what you can control. Life's uncertainties and setbacks can feel overwhelming, but there is always something within your power, a small action, a single step forward. Even the smallest efforts can reignite hope because they remind you that progress, however slow, is still progress. Connection is another vital source of hope. When you share your struggles with someone who listens without judgment, their empathy can remind you that you're not alone. Seeing the resilience of others, whether in their stories or their presence in your life, can inspire you to find your own. Hope thrives in community, in the shared belief that together we can weather life's storms. Practicing gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to hold on to hope. Gratitude doesn't deny pain, it highlights the good that still exists alongside it. By recognizing even the smallest blessings, you can shift your focus from what's missing to what remains, creating space for hope to grow. Hope is also a practice of patience. It doesn't always arrive on your timeline or in the way you expect. There will be days when it feels elusive, when the weight of life makes it hard to believe in anything better. On those days, hope isn't about grand visions of the future. It's about trusting in the next step, the next sunrise, the next opportunity to try again. Resilience and hope go hand in hand. When you face setbacks, hope is what gives you the courage to keep going, and each time you persevere, your hope grows stronger. It's a cycle that sustains you, a quiet but powerful force that reminds you that even in the hardest times, there is something worth holding on to. Resilience is not a trait you're born with, it's a practice you cultivate every single day. It's found in embracing vulnerability, building self-trust, setting boundaries to protect your energy, seeking connection over isolation, practicing resilience in small ways, and holding on to hope even when life feels overwhelming. Each of these habits strengthens your ability to face challenges with courage and grace, reminding you that your strength lies not in avoiding struggle, but in how you rise from it. Life will test you, but it will also teach you. And in those lessons, you'll discover a wellspring of resilience you never knew you had. Keep showing up, keep growing, and remember your strength isn't defined by the absence of difficulty, but by your ability to face it with unwavering determination.